There is something about her. Not the way she walks into a room, demanding attention with noise or glitter, but the way silence gathers around her, like nature holds its breath. She is not chasing beauty, she is beauty remembering itself. You won't find her in loud conversations or curated performances. You'll find her in the pause, in the gaze that lingers, in the way she holds a teacup as if time has slowed down just for her. A mature woman who is truly irresistible has nothing to prove, because she has faced herself and returned from that journey radiant with quiet power. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And the mature woman, she has claimed that privilege, not by aging, but by awakening. Let's begin with the first habit that makes her utterly unforgettable. The irresistible woman is not just light. She is the moon, not the sun. She has stared into the mirror long enough to meet her shadow, and instead of denying it, she made it her companion. She knows her rage, her envy, her hunger, her guilt, but instead of burying them beneath politeness or perfection, she welcomes them into her inner circle. Because she knows the parts of herself she used to fear are the very roots of her authenticity. To be irresistible isn't to be flawless, it is to be real. In a world drunk on performance, she offers presence. She does not wear a mask to appear nice. She chooses truth over comfort, even if her voice shakes. And it is that raw honesty, that wholeness, that makes her magnetic. When she says no, it echoes. When she says yes, it burns through your spine. Because she means it. The mature woman has integrated her wounds, and now they speak through her like wisdom. Jung taught that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. But she doesn't wait on fate. She dialogues with her demons, names them, tames them, and sometimes dances with them. She has cried in bathrooms, screamed in cars, laughed in cemeteries, and through it all, she did not abandon herself. So now, when she walks into a room, you feel her presence like a truth your soul forgot it needed. She is irresistible not because she shines, but because she glows from within the places she once kept hidden. This is her first secret, and it is not for the faint-hearted. But let's go deeper, because there's something else about her that you notice the longer you're around. Not just her confidence, but her clarity. Not just her charm, but her center. It's in how she speaks, and more powerfully, how she listens. Let's move to the second habit. You don't feel judged around her. You feel witnessed. She doesn't listen to reply. She listens to understand. Her attention is not an accident. It is an offering, a sacred stillness in a world that constantly interrupts itself. And that is rare, and rare is irresistible. When you speak to her, you feel your own thoughts deepen. You feel yourself open, because she has created a space wide enough for you to exist in fully. No agenda, no correction, no comparison, just pure, anchored presence. This woman has listened to herself for years, to her intuition, to her body's quiet no and loud yes, to the grief that spoke in dreams and the joy that lived in small, unremarkable moments. So when she listens to you, she's listening with all of that. She doesn't need to fix you. She knows you're not broken. She doesn't give advice unless invited, and when she does, it's like ancient medicine wrapped in a whisper. She doesn't rush silence, because she knows that sometimes silence is where the soul breathes. In the presence of such a woman, you stop trying to impress. You start remembering yourself. Because she reminds you of a world where connection wasn't transactional. It was sacred. And that is the beginning of devotion. This is just the beginning. 2 habits, and already you feel the spell she weaves. But there are 4 more. 4 deeper roots of the woman who cannot be replaced, only remembered. There is a calmness to her, But it's not empty. It is the calmness of deep water, of still lakes that have known storms and now choose silence, of oceans that can drown or heal, depending on how you touch them. She is not passive, she is composed. There is a difference. The irresistible mature woman is not afraid of being alone. She needs it. She doesn't fear her own company, because she has built a home inside herself. Jung once said, "Loneliness does not come from having no people around you, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to you." And so, she no longer fills her life with people who can't meet her in depth. She has traded popularity for authenticity, loud rooms for quiet truth. She walks alone, not because she's unloved, but because she loves herself enough not to settle. She gardens, she writes, she lights candles just for herself, she takes long walks with no destination. And in those moments the world softens around her. The birds seem to sing only to her. The breeze speaks her name. You see, a woman who thrives in solitude becomes dangerous to systems built on distraction. She cannot be seduced by drama. She does not chase closure. She understands, not every story deserves a sequel. And that makes her powerful. You wonder how she stays so centered, how she moves through heartbreak without bitterness, how she smiles without needing attention. It's because she's not trying to escape herself. She's been alone. She's wept in silence. She's rebuilt from ashes. Now her solitude is not punishment. It's her sanctuary. And when you meet a woman like that, who doesn't need you, but chooses you, you feel it in your soul. But there's something else about her, something that makes her irresistible even when she's doing the most ordinary thing. Pouring coffee, fixing a loose thread, smiling at a child. It's not what she does, it's how she does it. Which brings us to the fourth habit. The mature woman lives like every act is sacred, because to her it is. She doesn't rush through the day as if it's something to survive. She slows down, and in that slowness, life begins to shimmer. She doesn't wake up to scream into screens. She lights incense, stretches like a cat in the sun, whispers gratitude before her feet even touch the ground. Her morning coffee, a ceremony, her bath, a baptism. She brushes her hair like it's an act of reverence. Watering her plants feels like a conversation with life itself. You see, when a woman turns the mundane into the meaningful, she becomes unforgettable, because she has trained her mind to notice, to feel the heat of the cup, not just drink the tea, to taste the wind, not just walk through it. Jung believed in the symbolic world, the realm where every act contains a deeper truth. And this woman, she lives there. That's why she doesn't complain about boredom. She has found the divine hidden in repetition. To love her is to enter a world where time slows down, where you're reminded of the beauty in the small, the wonder in the ordinary, the sacred in the overlooked. And suddenly, you're paying more attention too. You speak slower. You breathe deeper. You start living with her instead of racing past her. That is her spell, and it was never loud. It was never flashy. It was intentional. We've now stepped into the soft fire of her soul. 4 habits, each one more alive than the last. But there are still 2 more, habits that live in the deepest chambers of her being, the kind that don't just draw people in, they transform them. By now, you've seen her in fragments, but even fragments of her feel whole, because she does not scatter herself to be understood. She does not shrink to fit into small minds. She expands quietly, like dusk, like depth. You do not notice her all at once. You remember her slowly. Let's go deeper, because the final 2 habits aren't learned from books. They are born from pain, healed by time, and carved by truth. She has cried without shame. She has sat with sorrow until it stopped screaming. She has held grief in her arms like a child, but she never let it harden her. And that's what makes her irresistible. She feels deeply, but she does not cling. She knows when to let the tears fall. and when to let the silence speak. A woman who is emotionally mature does not suppress her feelings. She tends to them. She asks, "What are you trying to teach me?" Not, "How can I avoid you?" She knows emotions are messengers, not masters. They pass through her like weather, not storms she must run from, but seasons she can learn from. So when you argue with her, she doesn't explode. She responds. When you disappoint her, she doesn't manipulate. She expresses. When you love her, she receives, without fear, without suspicion. This woman doesn't confuse drama with depth. She doesn't weaponize her past. She doesn't use guilt as a form of control, because she has sat with her rage and made peace with it. She has seen her jealousy and understood where it came from. She has watched old wounds resurface and welcomed them like old friends who still need healing. Carl Jung believed that what we resist persists, but what we accept transforms. And this woman, she is transformation in motion. When she walks away from a relationship, it is not out of coldness, it is out of clarity. When she chooses you, it is not from emptiness, it is from overflow. This balance, this rare emotional maturity, is magnetic, because in a world of reaction, she is a revelation, and that is her power. But there's still one more truth, one more habit that makes her utterly unforgettable, one final trait that turns attraction into devotion. And it's not something you see first, it's something you feel when she's long gone. This is the paradox. She is irresistible because she is not trying to be. She doesn't manipulate with beauty. She doesn't seduce with strategy. She doesn't tailor herself for male approval. She is not dressing for attention. She is dressing as an expression of her soul. She doesn't speak to impress. She speaks to connect. She doesn't fear aging. She embraces it like a badge of initiation, because she knows that being a woman, truly, isn't about being desired. It's about being authentic. You see, she doesn't try to keep anyone. She keeps herself. And that is what makes her unforgettable. Her glow is not skin deep. It is soul deep. She doesn't post pictures to prove she's alive. She lives so fully that her energy lingers in every space she leaves behind. And when she looks at you, really looks at you, you feel seen in a way you didn't know you were starving for. It's not flattery. It's presence. You feel safe. Not because she's soft, but because she's grounded. You feel awakened, not because she performs, but because she reminds you of something ancient inside yourself. And this is what makes her irresistible. Not youth, not perfection, not obedience, but truth. She is not chasing love. She is love, refined by fire, sharpened by solitude, deepened by time. And if you are lucky enough to be in her orbit, you don't just fall in love with her, you rise in love with her. Because she is not a chapter, she is a whole mythology, not a woman who conforms, a woman who returns to herself, to her essence, again and again. 6 habits, 6 silent flames, each one born from the inner life of a woman who no longer lives for approval, but for truth. And in that truth, she becomes unforgettable. She is not waiting to be chosen. She has already chosen herself. She is the mirror of Carl Jung's deepest insight. Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes. And she has awakened. So the world remembers her, not as noise, but as music you can't unhear.